The man who had 1 day left. A man found out he only had 1 day left to live. At first, he was very upset, but then an idea struck him, so he started to carry out his plan. It was just an ordinary day when Mark got the call that changed everything. His doctor's normally calm voice was filled with worry and urgency. "Mark, we need to talk. Come to the hospital as fast as you can." Mark could hear the worry in his Dr. E's voice and immediately called in sick at work and rushed to the hospital. When he got there, his doctor was waiting for him outside the examination room with a worried expression on his face. After some tests, the doctor finally told him the truth. "Mark, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you only have 1 day left to live. Your cancer has spread to your brain and there's nothing I can do to help you." Mark felt the world around him start to fade away as he tried to process what his doctor just told him. It couldn't be true. How could he possibly only have 1 day left? He had so many things he wanted to do, so many people he wanted to see. But sadly, it was true. There was nothing anyone could do to save him now. He spent the rest of the day at the hospital, thinking about all the time he had wasted in his life and all the things he hadn't done. As the sun began to set, Mark decided he didn't want to go home. Instead, he checked into a cheap hotel near the hospital and spent the night alone. He tossed and turned in bed all night, unable to sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he thought about his life and all the things he had yet to do. The more he thought about it, the more upset he became. Finally, as the first rays of sunlight peeked through the curtains, Mark got out of bed and decided to make the most of his last day. But he didn't know how to do that, and so he spent most of the morning walking around the city aimlessly. As he walked, he noticed a woman sitting on a nearby bench crying. She looked to be in her late 20s and was dressed in dirty clothes. Her hair was tangled and she had a young child with her who was also crying. Mark felt a pang of sympathy for her and couldn't help but ask if everything was okay. The woman looked up at Mark and explained that she had just been kicked out of her home because she couldn't pay the rent. She had nowhere else to go and didn't know what to do next. Mark felt terrible for her and knew he had to help. He took out his wallet and gave her some money to help her get back on her feet. "Here, please take this," he said. "I know it's not much, but it should help you get started." The woman's eyes filled with tears as she thanked him. "You don't know how much this means to me," she said. "I really appreciate your kindness." Mark smiled and told her it was no problem. "I just want to help," he said. After saying goodbye to the woman and her child, Mark continued on his way. He didn't have much money, but he was determined to make the most of his last day. He stopped by a bakery and bought a loaf of bread for a homeless man sleeping on the sidewalk. He then went to a soup kitchen and volunteered to help serve food to the hungry. All the while, Mark couldn't help but think about how lucky these people were to have him around to help them. He felt a sense of purpose that he hadn't felt in years. As the day wore on, Mark continued to look for ways to help others. He saw a group of children playing and stopped to join in. He played with them until they were tired and then bought them ice cream. He then visited an elderly woman who lived in a nursing home and spent time talking to her and other residents. Everyone at the nursing home was very grateful for the visit and thanked Mark for bringing them some joy. By the time Mark finished his day's work, he was exhausted but happy. He had spent his last day doing good deeds and helping others. He didn't know if there was a heaven or hell, but he hoped that what he had done would earn him a spot in heaven. As he lay down to sleep that night, Mark couldn't help but smile. He had made the most of his last day and had brought some happiness to those around him. The next morning, Mark woke up feeling refreshed and ready to start a new day. But when he checked his phone, he saw that he had a missed call from an unknown number. He tried calling back, but it went straight to voicemail. Curious, he decided to investigate further and soon found out that the number belonged to one of the people he had helped earlier that day. Mark had given the woman some money to help her get back on her feet, but instead of using it to buy food or pay for shelter, she had used it to buy lottery tickets. And guess what? One of the tickets ended up winning a huge prize. Overjoyed, she called Mark to thank him for his generosity and told him that she was going to use the money to help others. Touched by her story, Mark knew that he had made the right decision by helping her. He felt a sense of pride and accomplishment knowing that he had made a difference in someone's life. From that day on, Mark continued to look for ways to help others. He started volunteering at a local charity and even donated some of his own money to help those in need. He realized that helping others was the best way to make the world a better place and that even small acts of kindness could make a big difference. Years passed and Mark's good deeds continued to spread. People started to take notice of his generosity and began following his example. They began donating to the charity he supported and even started their own volunteer programs. Mark's legacy of kindness and generosity lived on, inspiring others to make the world a better place one good deed at a time. Mark had always been a kind and generous person, but it wasn't until he found out he had only 1 day left to live that he realized the importance of helping others. In his final moments, he had the opportunity to reflect on his life and the impact he had made on those around him. And what he found was that the greatest joy and fulfillment came not from material possessions or personal achievements, but from the love and gratitude of those he had helped. In the beginning, when Mark received his diagnosis, he was consumed with fear and sadness. He had so much to live for and didn't want to leave his loved ones behind. But as he began to come to terms with his fate, he realized that he had a choice. He could either give in to despair and resentment, or he could find a way to make the most of the time he had left. He chose the latter. Mark began by reaching out to his family and friends, letting them know how much he loved them and appreciated their support. He spent precious moments with his loved ones, creating lasting memories that would sustain them in the days to come. But he didn't stop there. He wanted to do more, to make a positive impact on the world before his time ran out, and so Mark embarked on a mission to perform 12 random acts of kindness in honor of the 12 months he had left to live. He started small, buying coffee for the barista, who always greeted him with a smile, or leaving a generous tip for the delivery driver who went above and beyond. He donated to his favorite charity, volunteered at a local soup kitchen, and reached out to a friend in need. Each act of kindness brought him a sense of peace and contentment, knowing that he was making a difference in someone's life. As the days turned into weeks and the months went by, Mark's acts of kindness became more ambitious. He organized a fundraiser for a school in his community, sponsored a child's education, and surprised his wife with a dream vacation. He continued to spread love and generosity, touching the lives of countless people in profound ways. But as the final month approached, Mark's health began to deteriorate. He grew weaker and more tired. But his spirit remained unbroken. He knew that his time was running out, but he had no regrets. He had lived a full and meaningful life, filled with love, laughter, and kindness. On his final day, Mark gathered his family and friends one last time. He looked at them with love and gratitude, thanking them for being a part of his journey. As he closed his eyes for the last time, he had a peaceful smile on his face. He had lived a life that mattered, and his memory continued to inspire others to be kind, generous, and compassionate. The legacy of Mark's kindness continued to live on in the hearts of those he had touched. His story spread throughout the community, and people began emulating his acts of generosity. A group of teenagers started a mentorship program, providing guidance and support to younger kids in need. Local businesses began donating a portion of their profits to charity, and volunteers came together to organize events that brought people from all walks of life together. As the years passed, what began as a small ripple of kindness grew into a wave that swept through the community, transforming lives and making the world a better place, one act of kindness at a time.